Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Barbarians The Invasion is a game that will totally trick you. When you first look at the game, you think you're getting this Ameritrash game that's going to have these barbarians and warriors fighting, area control, blood rage, you're thinking of Rising Sun, all these dudes on a maps game. And instead, what you get is a hero. You're going to get a worker placement game with a unique volcano mechanic that's really awesome. And you're really going to like to utilize the spaces. You have to think out. You have 3 warriors to place, and you have to think out each area that you're going to go to because you can only chain them. So if I go here, all of these spaces are unavailable to me, and I have to kind of chain it down. When you go into combat, it's very easy. You're going to have a card, you're going to flip it over. It's going to be a little bit of random chance about what you need. You're going to kind of press your luck, and you utilize these warriors, i.e. giving them up. If it has A, B, C, give up 1 from the A, 1 from the B, and 1 from the C, or maybe 4 Cs, and you're bringing your tracker down. It'll make sense when you see the flow of the game. Very abstract. No dice, no card. The randomness is just what you pull over, but you only have to win a majority of those battles. So it's kind of like, how good do I want to do in this? Because each individual battle will give you a reward, but winning the war is really where the victory points are going to come from. So sometimes you might go into it and like, I really need these points, or I really need this real estate. So I'm going to take this spot to get those points, even though I'm probably going to give up some of those little battle rewards to win the war. So it's not an area control. Once I take an area, it's mine. You cannot come and get it. You can chain off of it a little bit, but you can't take my area. So it's like getting points for areas on the board, and the spatialness of it matters, but you don't have to worry about somebody coming, taking it, and defending it and all that. It's very abstracted. It's a Euro game. Who would have thought with the artwork that's included on this? And it really throws people for a loop. Now, that makes it kind of hard to get to the table, because the Ameritrashers who want to play this sort of thing with all these dice and chucking them, they're going to look at this and be like, yeah, bring it on. And then they're going to be a Euro game. People that Euro game that want to play games about traders in the Renaissance and the Mediterranean, they're not going to find the theme here as much to their liking. So it's really cool. Where it clashes, if you're like me and you like Ameritrash and you like Euro games, this is a very cool mix. If you like Barbarians and you like, a good worker placement game, this is going to be that little part that's going to mix together. And that's really cool. So it's different in that respect, where the Dungeons and Dragons, like Lords of Waterdeep, can bring people into the game on a lighter level. This can also bring people in. There's tech trees, there's battles going on, there's this, not only say area control, but you want to control certain areas, and this worker placement. A lot of little things going together. The game is still very simple. There's only maybe like 8 things that you can do. Move up this track, move up that track, build up your combat strength, get resources that you're going to be turning in for more combat or whatever you want to do, more warriors. So it all kind of pieces together and flows very quickly. It's a little bit you got to digest at first with the war cards that are coming out and the god cards that are coming out, but you'll quickly be able to master how to play, and then you're diving into strategies and what you want to do. A lot to do here. I like it quite a bit. This is one that's not hit on the radar because I don't believe it's been in stores. It was a Kickstarter. I believe a Kickstarter only. I don't know if it's going to be in stores or not. If it is, this is one that you do not want to pass up. You do want to find this one. I've had a blast with it. I really like this one quite a bit, and I think it will hit the market if some of us start talking about it and get it out there. This one could be a big hit for people who want this theme, but also the Euro game. Definite keeper for me. Here's the components for Barbarians Invasion. I will show it to you like this with the board outside of the box because I can't fit this back in with all of the components. And maybe if you're better at Tetris, you can do it somehow, but I don't know. I think other people have had that problem. But here is the board. It's pretty neat how it spins. These things can come off very easily. And I guess maybe they did an expansion or wanted to. There's another side to it, so you can do that. You're going to have a very dynamic box here. It's very, very cool. And you can see the front. So as we open it up, we'll take a look at the components, but the striking of the box is really, really nice. The inside, I think, is all, and you can't probably tell what it is, but I think it's all the Kickstarter backers. I am a Kickstarter backer, so I'll show you the upgraded components I have. This is leather. It smells awesome like leather, but it's a really nice one. You can tell mine is warped a little bit, so be it. But these are exactly the same, except we're going to have these really nice backs on the back. And I'll show you what the ones that come with it without. You're going to have your board, which will be really nice, actually. The pictures on it's really cool. So this is going to sit up here where this big volcano is. Then you're going to have a little bit else of things going on here, your technology trees and your victory points and whatnot. And we'll show a little bit more of that when we show you how to play. Then you're going to have a few different boards, with one of these being the Kickstarter exclusive. And for the most part, they're the same, just kind of how the colors are going to be different when you play and how they connect will be a little bit different. So you're going to have that. You're going to have this one where it's moving this way. And it's the same A, B, C, D, F, but the way they connect is going to be a little different, which will change up the gameplay a little bit. You're going to have a rule book with the different box art, so it's very striking. And then this is going to be like the little custom insert that'll be in here. You're going to have miniatures for all these. One of my miniatures came broken, but these are the banners that you'll have. Then you have little individual components. These are really neat, and I guess I should show you these because a lot of care went into this. So you're going to have these different traits here that you'll be moving up, and these little components, each one is going to be individualized. So these are your stone, and this one right here is your wood, for example. So you're going to have the 5 things of those and 6 for the expansion, the wheat, but they're each individualized for each of the players. These little plastic tokens that you'll be utilizing on the board, they're okay. They have your insignia on it. And then you'll have miniatures for each of the players. And each different faction is going to have a different miniature. These miniatures are actually pretty darn good. They don't do a whole lot for the game purposes. And it kind of throws people off sometimes when you're playing, but that's what they are. These cards that you're going to have, I think the cards are really nice with some great artwork on it. Icons are the only things that matter on these cards. You're going to have your God cards that have really, really good artwork on them. And you can see some of this. It's just amazing artwork that you're going to have. Very, very good, even though the icons are really all that matters. But the game just looks phenomenal. So these tokens are all really good. Everything's going to have their regular bases. Like I said, each of the miniatures, each of these are going to have a different sculpt for each faction, which is really, really cool. So that's what you're going to get in here. I do have some expansion stuff in here. I'll kind of go through that as I play. But the components are just out of this world. I just wish they all fit back in the box. But let me show you underneath here what I have. So here are the regular player boards you get. They're just regular cardboard, and they don't have the insignias. So here's a difference. You're going to have the leather across it, and then the backs will be different. So these are the leather ones with the insignias. These are blank. Everything else functionally are the same. Then you're going to have the instructional booklet in a couple different languages. So here's a rule book for Barbarians The Invasion. Very striking cover to the rule book. You're going to have your introduction, but most importantly, your component list with what you should have in the box and what they look like. And this was super important to me to go through all these miniatures, especially with the Kickstarter, and figure out what everything is. This will be your setup for the game with a picture. It's fantastic. That should be in every single game. Then you have the game flow. So you're going to have a couple of different, what they call phases. So 1, 2. Second is where you do most of your actions, and the book will spend a lot of time there and kind of going through it. And here's are your tracks that you'll be having, your knowledge tracks and your barbarians and tactics knowledge. And the third, this is it for the third. This is kind of a cleanup phase. It'll explain how everything kind of works. And then you have the game end. You have some variant clan powers, which I play with always. I just think it adds a lot to the game. And then you have the expansion rules. You start looking at those components. We're not going to look too much like here, hunt expansion, additional modules. We'll go through that at different ones. There is a single player rule here, which we'll go through in a different video. But the reference and the back is really important, and you'll be utilizing this a lot to try to figure out what things mean. It takes a little bit to get used to, but not too difficult. The game's not that hard to kind of pick up and play. So there's going to be 3 phases to the game. You're going to have your maintenance phase, your action phase, and then your cleanup phase. And that's kind of how that's going to work. In the maintenance phase, which won't take effect the first round, if you use any gods or war chiefs, you would just untap them and get them back. And any buildings you have, you would get the resources that are listed on this. So when you buy a building at the beginning of each round is when you'll utilize it, and you'll just get more of the goodies that are up here on it. And the bottom of it is just for end of game scoring. So in this case, I would get 2 of those, 2 wood here, etc. So that would be the first phase of the game. That's called maintenance. So in the second phase, we're going to take actions, and you're going to go here into the volcano, which is this roundy thing that you added to the board. It needs to be set up in a certain way where each one has like this little line going through it. And then you'll do that all the way down for the 4 sections. So when you utilize these miniatures, you're going to be using them as workers, just like a regular classic worker placement, with a couple of things. If I went here, I would get each one of these 3 resources. If I went here, I would get to move up the tracks, etc. But whatever part on here I want to do, when you place your first worker, you must do it on top. Then, After everybody's taken a turn, if I'm first player still, then what would happen? I would have to take one of these spots in this area or one here. I could not put, say, my worker over here because he wouldn't touch. So that's why it's really important to kind of think about what you're going to go for the round because your options are going to become more limited. So I have these 4 spots. And let's say I went up here and I wanted to move my tracks up. That's fine. Then on my third round, what I would have would be just these options here and these options here. And I would be further and further narrowing myself down on what action I wanted to do. So during this action, I'm just going to take worker placement actions on this wheel. But each time I do, I'm narrowing down what I want to do. If you have God cards or war chief cards that can manipulate that, so be it. But for the most part, you're just putting this down here and you're kind of locking yourself in on where you're wanting to go. So these are God cards, and there's a whole pile of these that you're going to have. And you're going to be able to get these on your turn. If you do, you just kind of tap them over to utilize the power that's on the bottom. This will let me rotate it or get a free warrior, and you would just use this once per turn. At the beginning of phase 1 in the maintenance, you would turn it back up so it can be utilized again. Now you're also going to have these war chief cards. These are war chief cards that you can get. They will do different things. Now these you don't just tap. You actually discard these to use what's on the bottom of it. So if you want to use them in a non-combat way, you can get the goodie here, but it would be gone forever. So that's how the war chiefs, and you would just do that on your turn. And you can't use a god and a war chief on the same turn. So this is the player board that you will have. So when you take the worker placement actions, you'll be utilizing a lot of things on this little board here. So a lot of the player actions that you'll take during a turn on the volcano will allow you just to move these up. So if you got 2 bricks, you just move up 2 bricks here. If you got money, you would go here, and you can never have more of 6. So when you get goodies, you just move them up on this track, and you will be able to utilize those. Now, this track right here is going to be how many warriors that you have, how many people you have. So you only have 1 of each, but you'll move them up. So if she moved up here, then you have 3 of those. You got all the way up here is 5, the max is 6, and the least is 0. So that's how many you would have. So anytime you gain those, you just kind of move up the track. If you get to the top and you gain another one, then you just don't gain it. That's all you do. Same thing over here. You're also going to have these 2 tech trees that you'll be going up, although they don't look like this, look like charts. But this is called the Barbarians knowledge, and this is called the Tactics knowledge. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to move up here to be able to do different things. And I'll show you what they do. So the sailing one will allow you to go out further when you do the area control. I'll show you that in a second. This one will help you with defense when you're doing fighting and allow you to ignore something if it harms you. This one right here is pretty easy. The further up you go on, you have these little chips that you'll bring up. So anytime you get food, you get an extra food. Anytime you get wood, you get an extra wood, and so on and so on. And this one allows you to buy more buildings. So when you start the game out, you may only be able to build 1 building. You can build up to 4 buildings. You can have more than that, but this is how many that you can actually activate on a turn. And just suffice it to say that whenever you get to the end here, you're going to get a bonus. I'm not going to go through each of these bonuses, but if you're the first person in here, you're going to get additional bonus, which usually is victory points. And the second one will get a lesser one. Down here at the bottom is the tactics, and there's 1 for each color of people that you will fight on the map. And as you go further down, you will need to defeat less and less cards in order to take the area. I'll kind of show you how that works momentarily. So I'm just going to kind of show you here on one of these countries, you'll have these little tiles that will be out. And this will tell you how many victory points each part is worth. So, and this will be randomly assigned at the beginning of the game. If you're the first person to conquer an area, you'll get an additional 3 victory points. But you'll be looking at fighting these people here. And the way that it works is you will look here, and depending on where your little target is, if I was going to target this red one right here, I would need to flip over 5 cards in order to beat it. If I was here, I'd only need to beat 4 cards, and then 3, and so on and so on. So that's what these are going to do. For the different color tokens, I have to fight less and less cards in order to defeat it. Now up here where I'm sailing, you'll see these are called A, then you're going to have a B, you're going to have a C over here, and you're going to have different areas. So I can only, if I'm only on A, then I can only fight on this area. If I get to C, then I could fight on this area. This is B, and this is D. So the further I get on this track, the further out I can kind of go. So let's take you through a turn of combat and kind of show you how that works. Each of these areas on the board, if we zoom in a little bit here, will have a different color. So let's say you were going to go after this color right here, which would be green. You would look at the back of the card. It would tell you, hey, this type of enemy is most likely to come up, and this one, these are the only 2 that will come up, but this one's more likely than not. And that tells you on your tracks here which people that you need to be focusing on if you want to be able to come. And if you look down here at the bottom, before you enter combat, you can always get more of these guys before you decide to fight. So if I wanted to get an additional one of her, I would need to pay one of my grains and one of my wood. So I'd go back 1 grain, 1 wood. I'd be able to push her up. And I can buy any of these that I want based on the prices listed at the bottom. So when I go into fight, I will know based on what I'm charting here, so it's purple, and I had this on 4, that I am going to have to take 4 of these cards and beat them. So what I would then do is flip this card over, and it would tell me this is how many I need to give up. I need to give up 1 of her and 1 of him. Then I would go over to my chart, I would reduce it by 1 and 1, and if I did so, if there's a benefit on the bottom, I would get the benefit. Then I would go to the second one, give this up. If it's a red one, then I could optionally give it up. If I do, I get this in addition to the goodie that's over there. Now, if I beat more than I lose to, then I would take that area over. I would put one of my banners out on the board. I would score the victory points for this, the bonus for here. If I'm the first one, I would get this. And then so be it, I would start moving up the domination track, which is victory points. And I got this area. Once you get an area, nobody else can take it from you. If you were to lose, if you look here in the rule book, if you were to lose, depending on what type of faction it was, there is a damage that you will take. So if you lost that one, pay 1 gold and 1 stone for each resource you cannot. You lose 1 domination. Domination is victory points. So if you lose, there's a definite negative to it. And lose just means I lost more of these battles. I had to fight 4 cards, and I lost 3 out of the 4 in this case. Then I would get the negative that would go there. So that's a quick overview of Barbarians The Invasion. Now, the game is a little tricky. That has all these miniatures. It doesn't look like a worker placement game, but it is. So go really quick. You'll activate any buildings that you want to activate in Phase 1 and reset all your gods and war chief cards. Then Phase 2 is you just get here and you pick out which worker placement sections that you want to get on. And then you would take these, updating your player board, more than likely. Or you may have something where you go do a free fight, or you'll be ways to manipulate your board. And then after that, you will go to a cleanup phase where the board will move based on where we're at in the game. And then you have to, at the end of the phase, you will have cards here that will be good or bad, and then you will have to fight them. So at the end of the round, based on how many rounds there are, you're going to have to go to a demon fight or a pub. If you go to a pub, it's pretty easy. You will know in advance what you need to get, but you will be able to utilize this. If you do nothing, you get the 2 bottom ones, or you can trade this stuff in and get victory points. You'll know those in advance. The demon's a little bit harder, that you have to give up stuff immediately when you fight or lose points, and then you can trade in stuff to fight him, and if you do, you get things. So these demon cards tend to be a little bit more difficult than the pub ones, but you'll have one to each round, and you'll have a track down here that you'll know in advance what's coming up through the whole game and what you kind of need to collect. And that'll be at the end of each round. At the end of the game, you tally up your victory points based on cards you got and buildings you built. And then at the end of the game, you'll look, and what you want to look for here is the largest combination of consecutive banners that you have. So if I was able to get 1 here, but 2 over here, it would be 2. And then I would go to this chart, and for 2, I would get 1 victory point. Even though I built 3, there's only 2 that are consecutive, so I would get 1 domination point. Whoever has the most domination points wins the game. I would like to point out in the rule book, there are variant powers for each clan. So each one will do something a little bit different. I do advise playing with that. And if you look down here at the bottom of each of your player aids, it'll give you an exact thing that you can do. So this ability right here would tell you that whenever you sacrifice a war chief, you can do the bounty twice. That's what that one would do for you. In this one, we reveal a war card. You can discard it and draw another one. In this one, in the 3rd phase of each era, you can resolve the feast or demon card twice. And this one, at the beginning of each era, before the maintenance phase, you can gain 2 resources of your choice. Each one of these will do something a little bit different. I highly recommend adding that in as quickly as possible. So this is the map that you get with the base game right here. You can see that it's going to be a horizontal map here, and you come through here from Fenian to Ara to Brieg, etc. It's going to be a double-sided board if you want to go up and down with it and go vertical. This one over here is going to be the Kickstarter board. I'll kind of put those side by side the best I can here. This one over here is the Kickstarter board that you'll get, and it kind of shoots things off a little bit differently, where Fenian starts out up here in the corner. It's going to start here, and you're going to see we're going to go to A or B from it and come down into C. So it's going to be a little bit different of a direction going on here, a little bit different makeup of the board, and less countries coming out for 3. So in this one, there's only on the A, there's a 4 here that's cut out. For A, there's a 3 that's cut out. So it's only for 3 or 4. This one will be only for 4 players. So a little bit different makeup that's going to be there. I do like the new Kickstarter board quite a bit. I think it just gives you a little bit more variety. Even the game works the same. It gives you something a little bit different. We're not playing the same board and the same strategies all the time. Who should buy this game? Anybody who likes Euro games, but likes that theme with these warriors that are fighting, that Ameritrash theme. I think it's going to go in really good together. If you're looking for a worker placement game, but you're looking for something a little bit different, remember Zolkin, the Mayan calendar? It gave you something different. You had these wheels that were moving. This one has this volcano where you have to chain where you're going to be going. Very cool, something different. It's not just an Agricola clone or clone. I take this spot, you take that spot. We got something different going on. I got these tech trees that we're utilizing. If you push it all the way up and you specialize in something, you're going to get a bonus. Or you can kind of make life easier doing everything and kind of spread it out. You have a lot of decisions. These decisions matter. What war craft cards and what god cards you're going to get. These matter. And being able to trade things and fight for things. Very cool thing. So this is probably not on the lighter side. I'm going to say probably a medium weight game. Although once you get the hang of it, this is going to be a little bit lighter than you thought it was going to be. But there's some moving parts here. So not for non-gamers. Maybe families with older kids. But a very, very solid game, and one, unfortunately, I don't think most people have heard of. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.